Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senior Vice President and General Manager of Data.com, Salesforce.com, Andy MacMillan.
Hello, Dreamforce. I appreciate all of you taking a break from the lovely weather outside and spending a little time in here with us talking about data. We're going to talk this afternoon actually, about grow faster with the right data at the right moment. Before we dive in, I want to take just a second to echo one of the things that Mark Benioff said during his keynote yesterday morning, which is really to thank all of you. This is a product line that we started down a journey with all of you about 2.5 years ago. A lot of you told us that data is one of your big challenges in your CRM system, and it's the tricky challenge. I met somebody at the conference who works in consulting on data, and they handed me their business card, and their title was data therapist. And I thought that kind of sums it up. It's a challenge, and we know that, but it's a great challenge to take on, and it drives huge value if we can address that challenge. And all of you have been instrumental in where this product has gone. This product is growing like crazy. We've got great customer feedback. We're seeing huge success with our customers, and a lot of that is from the great feedback that all of you have provided. I really feel like this is a product that we have built together over the past 2.5 years, and so I want to start by saying thank you and that we really appreciate it. So also, Mark talked yesterday about the Internet of Customers, and I loved the keynote. I thought it's a very emotionally engaging message. I think all of us relate to that. We have these devices, and we want to connect to the customers or connect to the companies as a customer. What we're going to talk about today is how do you enable your organization to have the data that you need to connect with those customers and build those meaningful relationships. So before we dive in, I'm going to cover the most exciting slide in my deck, which is available at our investor relations site. We are going to talk a little bit in this session about some futures on where we're going to go with data.com. And it's important, and this is important, that if you're going to buy products or stock, you should do that based on the products that we have available in market today. So Salesforce One is the new customer platform. It's going to transform the way you sell. It's going to transform the way you market. It's going to transform the way you service your customers. It's also going to help you connect all of your applications into those processes. And it's going to do that through a lot of the devices that you're using today. And as you saw in the keynote, some of the devices that are coming soon, like watches and eyeglasses and all kinds of amazing things. But we want to talk to you about how do you connect all your customer data as well. How do you make sure that when you are having that customer interaction, that person in your call center, that rep that's out in a conference room somewhere in middle America, and it's just him and his sales engineer, and they're trying to sell, how do you ensure that they have the data that they need about that customer to build that meaningful connection? This is called the right experience at the right moment. How do we power these customer connections? And a lot of it has to do with context. Anyone in here ever heard of big data? A little bit? Shows up in magazines once in a while? Yeah. Big data is a great concept, and we're big believers in it. We do a lot with big data at Salesforce. But let's talk about context-aware data. How do you make sure that the information that you need to connect with your customers is available to you in the device that you need at the moment you need to build that incredible, and in many cases, surprising customer experience? That's how you delight customers. You surprise them with a great experience. And this is about putting your customers in between the right apps and the right devices and empowering your employees to do that. So we think about the the data industry over the last several years, or last several decades rather. This is very similar to when Mark talked about the evolution from the mainframe era to the PC era to the era of the internet. We've seen this with data. We used to have data locked in these mainframe siloed applications. The only people that could access that data were the people that had those applications. And many of us, and many of you, are still in this amazing journey to try to centralize that data. And it's challenging and it's hard. But the big problem with that is simply amassing lots of centralized data doesn't solve the problem. We've all had that experience where you call the company that you're trying to get help from, and you give them the same piece of information over and over and over again, right? We've all done this. We know the data exists somewhere in their organization. This is how a lot of us feel about the data in our own organizations. We know that somebody somewhere knows this. Some system has that piece of data, and we're trying to centralize it. That's not really the answer. It's part of the answer, but it's not the answer. The answer is context-aware data strategies. Making your data strategy work for the business outcomes that you're driving for. And a lot of these business outcomes are part of the applications that you've been learning about at Dreamforce. Your sales applications, your service applications, your marketing applications. These are the applications that drive the experience of your sales and your service and your marketing professionals with your customers. So Data.com, we're focused on the right data at the right moment, and that's the new best practice. This is how organizations are driving this process forward, and it's right inside Salesforce. This is not a product that we built on the side, thought, let's go build a data product, and maybe some of our customers could use it. We sat down with the Sales Cloud team. Hopefully most of you went to the Sales Cloud Keynote. I thought it was fantastic. And you saw in the Sales Cloud Keynote some of the things that they're delivering that take advantage of you having better data. We work hand in hand with that team to build Data.com. It's designed and built for Salesforce. And to do that, we built this next generation data platform. We combined some of the leading market data in the world from companies like Dun & Bradstreet. We crowdsource contacts. We have leading business data. We bring all that together in a cloud-based data platform, and we deliver it into the Sales Cloud application. And we don't just deliver it like you would typically think of your standard data integration. We deliver it as part of the business process, part of the territory management, part of the prospecting that you're doing to drive the business outcomes that help you connect with your customer in a whole new way. And as I mentioned, this is becoming the new best practice. This is, again, something I need to thank all of you for being on this journey with us. We have collectively, all of our customers, and Salesforce, I guess we're a customer as well, we have cleaned 300 million records with Data.com in the last year. And you've imported over 70 million new records. These are complete records with customer contact information, account information that you're using to connect with your customers and drive these engaging experiences. And this is across all types of companies. Some of the largest companies in the world are working with us to say, how do I go into these huge organizations and work my way around these organizations and make sure that I'm building the right connections, building the right relationships, so that my large sales team knows what this large organization is doing. We also see it with some of the smallest and fastest growing companies in the world. They're saying, I've got a data-hungry sales team out there that's looking for leads, they're looking for prospects. We know we have these incredible products, we just need to connect with people that are looking for our solution. And they're using Data.com to do that. So I'd like to take a moment and talk to a couple of our customers about this. Let's have Ken Brown, our AVP of Enterprise Application Development for Global CRM at MetLife, come up and tell us a little bit about how you guys are using Data.com. Thanks for being here, Ken. So Ken, why don't you tell us a little bit about how MetLife, a little bit about MetLife in general, I guess, and about your role in the organization.
First, you shouldn't have speaking engagements after a concert of my favorite band. That's a problem, so my voice is a little off.
No, it sounds good.
But MetLife is almost a 150-year-old insurance company. We've had systems in MetLife. We were one of the first financial companies to have a computer in 1950, the UNIVAC. So we have amassed data and systems over the years that number in the thousands, and
wow.
Terabytes and terabytes of data. So it's a big problem to bring that together and be customer-centric. We are constantly striving to be more customer-centric and drive the products in that direction. So it's we put together last year our global CRM team, my team, to help build a center of excellence around Salesforce.com. And Data.com is a big piece of that deliverable to make sure we have the right data.
Fantastic. So tell us all a little bit about kind of your view or perspective on CRM data is a kind of a subset of those massive amounts of data you were talking about earlier. So, how do you view CRM data and the role that it plays in your organization?
Well, data is the most important asset our company has, any company has. And so often we look at the system itself rather than the data. And we've seen many CRM implementations fail, especially in the 90s, because you weren't focused on the data. If you're not giving the sales agents the right data to do their job, they're not compelled to use the system. Their satisfaction and adoption drops, and you don't get the customer centricity. So it's a significant problem. So going forward, we're looking at data first. We're building the people, processes, and technologies around that data. And so when we now integrate data.com into that, we pull the data out of data.com, and then we use tools to cleanse it like Informatica Cloud, MDM, to make sure it stays clean.
So you guys are really focused on how people can trust that data in order to kind of engage with the application. So tell us a little bit about kind of how's that changed how people view the CRM application?
Well, it's that global data, a trusted source of data, and it's complete. Sales agents are notorious about just typing in a couple details, and that's their opportunity record, or that's their account. We're working on multinational. We're growing in that direction a lot. More sales in there. We're going after the Global 2000, and so that's one of our big use cases that we're doing here. Part of our process is to go into that global trusted source of data, bring over all those values into Salesforce and start from that perspective. We actually then build triggers to, at that point, to go into data.com and actually find the parent companies and build out the hierarchy. So we actually have a clean hierarchy, full, complete data available to the agents.
So as soon as they start selling, they've got a view of the organization and what they need to be doing. That's fantastic. Right. So what advice would you give to this audience? I mean, these are all people that are clearly interested in data. What advice would you give to them as they think about their CRM deployment and their challenges?
Well, good question. I mean, you have to put data first. You have to understand where that data is and think about how to keep it clean and how to constantly have the right information available to the agents. So often we have the agents in the office, and that's the only place they have access to it. But when they travel out, that data is their bread and butter. That's the customer centricity, all that information in their hand. And so Salesforce makes it very easy to, as they go out, to have that data with them, especially now with the Salesforce One, the concept that you can have all of our custom code and our custom objects in there as well. So it's a very important piece. We actually also are now able to give dashboards, and we're able to give information to executives as they go out to meet with the customers, so that they have a global view of the relationship with them. It also creates white space in there so that we can see places where if we sell a giant contract, a multinational contract, or employee benefits in Australia, we can see that there's maybe white space in Japan, and we can actually give the CEO something to look at. So that data is the key to unlock that potential. And you really should start with that, because so often we start with the easier part, which is actually taking the software and getting that up and running. But without the data, it just doesn't.
We're trying hard to make data easier, but I do appreciate I appreciate the sentiment. Yes.
When you got the amount of data we do in the various systems, it's not as easy to pull together. And actually, our data people, our big data people, came to me and said, "Can we have some of that CRM data that you're putting in Salesforce, because you got the right hierarchies, you have the Dun & Bradstreet information, you have contact information." I'm actually have procurement coming to me saying, "Could we look in there, because I need to find who's the president of this company and their email address." So we're pulling that contact information.
Oh, fantastic.
I've heard sales agents come to me and say, "You know what, I forgot who to contact. I went in there, I pulled their contact, and I was able to call and make the sale." So the data is important. I mean, it's all good and well to have the processes and the access, but without the data, you're dead in the water.
Fantastic. All right, well, thank you, Ken. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here at Dreamforce.